Adam, can we start with your reaction to last night's Tribunal result?
Yeah, I thought that might be on the cards. I suppose at the moment our priority is the Giants game. So I'll make a brief comment on it, but we've got to get on with our footy. So a massive challenge in front of us. Obviously, we'll be without Nick. My take on the week, I suppose, there's two parts to it for me personally. Is the way Michael handled it early in the week with, on a Monday he gets to present what happened over the weekend and justify why the charges were laid. And he just got that wrong with, its suggestion that both arms were pinned. Amon came off and didn't come back on. So it was just a bit sloppy from our point of view, and the fact that we can't comment on it as a club, and to follow up from that, to go on every radio station and suggest it was the easiest decision he's ever made. I would have thought we could make that after the Tribunal, not before. So the natural justice, I suppose, of everything is a bit flawed there. So I'm not sure what we can and can't say in the build-up, but I would have thought it should be fair and reasonable for both sides. The actual incident, it's an interesting one, and it's probably not my position to actually say whether it was right or wrong, as much as I probably don't agree with it. And I've got an 11-year-old son and a 14-year-old daughter that play footy, and we want to try and protect them as much as we can. But the question that I've got to ask myself and talk to Nick about is, what do we do going forward? And that's probably what I've got to work through. How do we handle this going forward? Because I think to suggest that in 0.8 of a second, Nick's got to assess obviously where the ball is, who's about to get the ball, his height, his weight. Is he going to crumple? Is he going to take him on? Because at the moment, he sees the ball, he sees the man with the ball, and he goes as hard as he can. He gets one arm around the waist, he pins the other arm, and he got the tackle wrong. So that's okay. It was a free kick. But what does he do from now on? Because there's not enough time to actually make all those decisions. And anyone who suggests that that's the way he's got to handle it is wrong. So now I've got to make a decision, and so does Nick. And after the weeks before with different types of suspensions not laid and laid, does he hip and shoulder is the question, because I'm not sure if there's been any suspensions on that with the incidental head knocks. I don't think that's the right thing to do, but now I'm a little bit confused. So we'll work through it. We'll move on to a certain degree, but I don't want him to change. I don't think anyone wants him to change how he attacks the footy. And maybe it's just a Nick rule, because he's so powerful, and just don't be so powerful and strong and aggressive in the act of play. There's maybe I'm not quite sure, so I'm a little bit confused. I need to get some follow-up.
Coach, though, can you don't be powerful and strong, because that's
we all love Nick for that reason, and I don't want him to change the way he plays. He got the tackle wrong. I think it was a free kick, but I'm just not sure what the ripple is going forward, because at the moment I'm seeing issues off the ball that are not related to football, that elbows to the head, hip and shoulders off the ball, that are okay. You might get a fine. So I'm a little bit confused. I'll get some clarification on where it all sits, but to suggest the answer is, Nick, you've got to assess all those things in 0.8 of a second, I think it's a little bit unfair.
Can I just ask one more, because I know you wanted to...
That was a long answer.
Yeah, it was. Were you told about their concern over Nick's tackles, because there have been two others that have been deemed? So were you communicated with from the AFL that maybe they were looking into this, or is this something that's come out of the blue?
No, out of the blue. So we'll move on from that. That's about as much as I reckon I'll need to say on it. Take what you want from that. The fact is, we've got a couple of debutants this week. So Brendan Archie and Braden Ainsworth play their first game for the footy club, which is just so exciting for our players and for those boys. Get an opportunity to get on the plane and have a real good go at the Giants this week. So I think it'll be our 7th debutant this year, which I don't think we've done for many, many years. And we're really looking forward to that.
They both put together a good block in the WAFL. Archie's done a little bit up forward as well. Ainsworth predominantly on the ball. You just tell us what you've seen from them over the last...
Well, Ainsworth is the classic kid that just eats, lives and breathes footy. Just loves it. So for him, he's got such an appetite for the game, and he's 18 or 19 years old, and he's come a long way in a very short amount of time. So he's been at the club obviously got drafted last year, so that youth and excitement it's rippling through the whole club at the moment. And Brendan's, he's played 24, 25 games. Looked for different opportunities coming over here, and he had an injury to his ankle pre-season, but he was on track to play. So I'm not surprised he's come back in pretty quick.
They're clearly different players to Nick. How do you cover Nick's absence in the ruck?
Oh, Fraser will come in. I haven't pumped up Fraser. He's been around for a while, but he's been going really well. Fraser McGuinness at East Perth, so he's in a good space. He's been rucking a lot. We haven't had Vardy available for a while, so he'll come in and play his role.
Is there any other injury concerns? Shuey obviously comes out, but you're bringing 2 others in. Have you got any other injury concerns?
Yeah, Petruccelli won't play. Unfortunately, he's hurt his ankle, and he'll miss a week or so. So that's really disappointing, because that was exciting for us as well with what he was bringing. But it's just great to see some youth coming through, and I've said this a bit, our leaders are holding up their end of the bargain as well.
Dramatic rise for Ainsworth, and he was playing reserves, waffle footy last year, and now he's playing his AFL. So it's a pretty quick, steep learning curve. It
is, and sometimes you just got to give these guys a go. And I've learned a little bit over my journey that you back the youth in a little bit more, and they will surprise you. So, but at the same time, you've got to have some element of form, and there's got to be a little bit of integrity to selection. And he's earned his spot, same as the other boys.
Nick provides a lot of motivation and inspiration to his team. How do you counteract against that, I suppose, with your players who maybe are inspired by some of his acts?
Yeah. Look, I think he's not on his own at the moment. There's a pretty good resilience amongst the group. I think they feel like there's a real brotherhood with the whole list. And East Perth, we feel, are carrying the load as well. They're playing pretty good footy. So I think collectively they're in a pretty good space. It's going to be a massive challenge this week. So we're not, we're not kidding ourselves in that space. But as long as they play with real spirit, we can't lose.
And GWS have got a few injuries as well, but they do get a couple back. What have you made of them this season?
Yeah, well, I think like the competition, there's going to be weeks where you have your ups and downs, and they're coming off a down. And we've had a couple of teams who played this year that have come off not so great performances, and so we're fully aware of what their best looks like. They've still got some tremendous talent playing. Ideally, they'd have more out there. I'm sure Leon would be the first to say that, but I don't think he'd use that as an excuse, just like we won't use Nick as an excuse either.
How different will your midfield set up look without Nick, without Shuey, without Shee? But you're doing
it look different.
Have you had to adjust a lot during the week, or is this all stuff that's done during the pre-season?
Oh, look, no, we're probably developing a lot more balance around the roles of our players. So Luke plays a role, plays it very well, and Ainsworth needs to come in and play that role. So we're finding a pretty good balance for that at East Perth as well. So when they come in, they know what role they need to play. So hopefully they can play an instinct a little bit more.
Do you think Scotty Lycett will enjoy the chance to lead the ruck?
Yeah, he's been itching at the bit to have a go at starting in the middle, and he'll get that opportunity. He's ready. He's coming off a big absence last year as well. So to have 5 or 6 games under his belt this year in a row, and we think he's playing pretty good football. Now he gets an opportunity to lead from the front and set the tone for us.
Can you tell us about Fraser? He's been on the list a long time for a limited amount of games. That perseverance, what does that do to you as a coach to see him actually achieve another league game?
It's probably more the players, really. He's a much loved player at the club because he does everything he possibly can to play AFL. He doesn't get the same opportunities as others, but his work rate and his consistent approach to being an elite footballer. I think every club has a couple of players like that, and he's ours, and the boys love him for it. So when he gets to play and gets an opportunity, they really grow, and they're really appreciative of him doing all that work and getting rewarded for it.
Has this been his best block of form, Timo, that you've seen?
Phrase. As a ruckman, he's predominantly a forward, so we've read the cues a little bit with Vardy going out, so we put him in the ruck, and he's played his best footy at East Perth in the ruck. So no doubt he'll have stages forward as well, but he'll complement Scott.
Just with Nick, people are saying there is a slight silver lining there potentially that he gets a rest. I know you're probably really frustrated obviously as he goes out, but were you planning on giving him a break at some point? Does that mean you might not have to rest him later in the year?
Yeah, we've been looking at it, and it's week to week with Nick with his body, but he's been pulling out really well, so there was no reason to give him a rest just for the sake of it. Having said that, I haven't really planned him to play every game of the season, but we definitely were weren't planning on resting him this week.
Just with all the kids that have debuted this year, why do you think they've been able to come in and fit in so seamlessly? Because to have that many numbers, normally you get quite a bit of fluctuation there.
Yeah, I think you've got to really look at our leaders and the senior players. I mean, our core group, they're pretty good players, and they've all been available this year, and they've all, played not their best footy, but they've, as a combination, been pretty consistent. So, and that's not with performance; it's probably been more with effort. And the collective, I think there's a good bond amongst the players. So when the kids come in, I think they grow even more to probably show them the right way to play. So, look, it's all going okay at the moment, but we understand it's a long season, and we're going to have to rely on a lot more.